start with a brief summary of what we did in this sprint, and then we have the demo with and hopefully some discussions. So we continued to work with the model debugger, and in this sprint we mostly focused on like quality improvement, performance improvement, for example, improving the debug and variables views. We also fixed an issue that the variables view was not always populated, and more specifically it was a case when capsule parts were type inherited capsules. And in general, there were several quality improvements in the area of synchronizing the communication between the model debugger and the debugger application, and reducing the data sent between them. In the properties view, we have now a new tab, which allows you to more easily reorder nested types. This was possible to do before using the advanced tab, but we actually had quite many customer cases because it was difficult to find, so now it's much easier. For RSRT 11, we have a new feature that we decided not to include in 10.3, since it mostly involves Connexys and TCP server libraries. So it's basically a new command, or two commands that allow you to import these libraries from the installation into the workspace with a one click instead of having to find them yourself. JavaScript APIs, we have a new function called getTopTC, which actually is a rename of an old function. It allows you to access properties from the top TC in for example, a build variant script, or in the JavaScript of a TC. And we have now documented this also, how it works in our JavaScript API documentation. So the model compiler, of course, also was improved, and we focused on improving the startup time of the build server. So there were some issues with sometimes it started too slowly, and sometimes the error messages were not very clear. So we have fixed that. And there were also some other related issues. We also introduced a new command line option, which allows you to stop the model compilation process in case there is an error in a TC. So if you are using it to build multiple TCs, that can be handy. Then we implemented a new feature from C++ 11, which is support for R-value references. So this double ampersand syntax. We also have a new experimental feature which relates to how you can now clean external library TCs, which we will talk about more later. And last but not least, there has been a lot of work in the documentation area to prepare for an upcoming sunset of the developer works documentation system, which happens end of Q1. So we have migrated content over from developer works and decided to include it into the Eclipse help. And an extra benefit with that approach is that now all that documentation is also searchable from within RSRT itself. So the experimental features, we have BERT, same as we have had for a long time, but now also we have this new clean command for external library TCs that I mentioned before. And the deliveries in this sprint, we will deliver a new version of RSRT 11, 2020-03. This is still an experimental version, and you can test it by using Eclipse 2019-06. And then, of course, the main delivery is a new version of 10.3, 2020-03, which we recommend for daily work. That should be used with Photon. And all the other older versions of RSRT we did not update in this sprint. I should also mention that we will ship a new version of Design on 1. So those of you who have an interest in Design on 1, it can be interesting to know that we have now introduced experimental support for authentication. So we will not cover that in today's demo, but if you're interested in this, please let us know and we can schedule a specific demo for that feature.